Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Bonnick, and I am the founder of the Flute Refinery. And I'd like to just give a little introduction about myself and about my business that I started and why I did it. Um, I've been a flute player all my life. I grew up in a musical family. And I knew from an early age, I was convinced that I would one day be the next James Galway, as many of us did and have. And I just absolutely love playing my flute. And I spent many years playing um, as a young person in public. And one moment in time that I will never forget was I was in middle school, so probably 12, 13, an executive at United Musical Instruments, where they made Armstrong and Artley flutes, came up to me and handed me my very first open hole flute. And I thought I was in heaven. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited and so stunned. And as he handed it to me, he said that it's really important that we support young people in their musical endeavors because one day they could make a difference in the industry. And of course, from his point of view, at the time, what I didn't realize was his vantage point about the industry and what that meant to him versus what that meant to me. But it pretty much sealed my fate. And as I moved on and advanced, I eventually chose to move on to DePaul University as a flute performance major. And I remember it being an incredible experience, but also a very frustrating, anxiety-ridden, emotional experience where I felt maybe I wasn't all that good. I remember struggling a lot with being able to perform the way I was expected to, making certain notes sound a certain way, producing the tones and notes in a more artistic and full, beautiful way. And I became very frustrated. And it really caused me to put my flute down, actually, for many years. But interestingly enough, after I left college, I came back to the town where I spent most of my school years. And my high school band director knew I was back in town and got a hold of me and told me that United Musical Instruments was looking for a flute tester. And it really intrigued me. So I checked it out and I took the job. They hired me. I proved I could play the flute. And all of a sudden I was learning how to test instruments, flutes and piccolos, and make refined final adjustments with a handful of tools. And one day I decided to take my college flute with me to work. And I played it. I test played it, which is much different than playing. And I was shocked. I was stunned. I could not believe how bad a shape my flute was in. And it changed my perspective from that moment on about understanding your instrument. And these are things that we don't necessarily learn throughout our process, because even when I was growing up, um, even my private teachers didn't really press the issue to get to a tech, get your flute in on a regular basis, or if I was struggling, could it be the instrument? Because in my mind, it was me, and I was not made to think otherwise. And so I came to a realization, which has been confirmed through my 30 plus years in the industry, as someone who has worked their way up through the manufacturing side of flute and piccolo making. And I have a deep understanding and experience from many different perspectives, with my interactions with flute making, with artists, professional flutists and piccoloists, parents of young students, students themselves, uh, music educators at every level, whether band director or private teacher, college professors, adult learners who've played the flute and are coming back to it, or just starting it for the first time. I've heard and experienced firsthand, and I've done everything I could in my previous positions to continue what was given to me many years ago as a young teenager, is paying it forward. And that has led me to this phase of my career. Is just about a year ago, I decided to come up with something that's not really thought about or offered in our community, is virtual sessions, learning and understanding your instrument, how to test it, if you are someone who's trying to troubleshoot or problem solve something and you don't have access to a technician, or you're in a time constraint, whatever the situation might be, affordability, any of it. If you can do flute lessons on how to play the flute online, you can take a lesson with me. I call them refinement sessions, to learn how your instrument works depending on your situation. Learning the basics, how to properly put it together and put it away, is critical, and it's something that surprisingly a lot of people don't necessarily know how to do. It's not surprising in many respects, especially people just picking up the flute for the first time. Watching a YouTube video can be helpful, but having real-time connection with someone is very important. If you don't have a private teacher, proper instruction, you can damage the flute in significant ways without realizing it. So this is something I developed, and then beyond that, I came up with another idea that's not out in our industry yet to too much of a degree, is my essential care kit. And this has the bag. Actually, I got in touch with Andrea, the founder of Fluter Scooter flute bags, and I pitched her my idea. I sent her a design for a bag. She was totally in. Her and her manufacturer did a beautiful job. making that vision come true. And then I curated the tools that are in the bag. And these tools are not for flute techs, they are for flute players. And that's who I had in mind. So you don't need to be overwhelmed by what you see in this bag. These are things that, and I look forward to videos coming soon to go over each tool individually and how to use it, and how to test your flute properly, because there is a way to do it, and it is a skill, and I think it's important for flute players to learn that skill. So here's the bag. It's a beautiful bag, and show you here the inside. So I'm really excited about this. This is my first year having my own booth with the Flute Refinery at the National Flute Association convention. If you're going, please stop by and say hello. I would love to talk to you and show you what I have going on. And I am beyond thrilled that my very good friends and colleagues, Allie Ryerson, Peter Verhoeven, Stephen Clark, and Katie Wary are all going to join me for my showcase at NFA to help me tell the story and about this new venture of mine. So I cannot wait. Stay tuned for more videos and more helpful information for flute players and those who support them. Thank you.